Let's hear it, man. Sasha's already got the espresso going. Look at that. Yes. That bad boy is ready to be topped off. Sasha's on top of shit. Look at my headphones on, man. I gotta get playback up in this bitch. Check, BC in the motherfucking house. Can you hear me? Holla if you hear me, old school Papa Pump. Sasha, cut my motherfucking music. Cut my music, Sasha. Cut that shit. Put up those Friday biceps, man. Come on. Come on. Ah, damn, solid. We got to do triceps tomorrow, don't we? Yeah, we spent 3 days without triceps, man. I'm starting to notice. We got to get the triceps rocking again, man. I'm off schedule. I had to do 3 consecutive leg days. It's a long story. Man, we got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. What Sasha prepared for me is one of these bad boys, a Dunkin' Espresso. You guys probably, that looks familiar, right? Because yesterday we had one of those. We had a couple of coffees during yesterday's stream. We had one of those in 1 hour turned into 2 hours. That's what that does to BC. That's the dark roast espresso Dunkin' Donuts. There's nothing like that coffee, man. I mean, Colombian coffee gets me fucking even more wired. But aside from that, man, we're going to rock this one out. And before we get to the main story, which is going to be Triple H just opening up, telling all, man. I mean, Triple H speaking about Sasha Banks, Triple H talking about Bray Wyatt's return, Braun Strowman's return, the real deal with The Rock, and Triple H cut a promo hyping up Rock and Roman for WrestleMania 39, man. If there's ever a promo to hype that up even more, H just did it. We're going to talk about that. H talking about AEW defeating them. Did they defeat NXT, the brand, or did they defeat NXT, the developmental system? If you ask Paul Levesque, he's leaning one way over the other tenfold. We're going to talk all about that. And he talks about McMahon literally not being a part of anything anymore unless they're in a father-in-law, son-in-law conversation. Then they talk the business. Didn't BC say that from the jump? We're going to talk all about it, man. Triple H is opening up on everything with Ariel Helwani. On Ariel's, is it a podcast? Ariel Meets, I believe is what it is called. I want to get that straight because I do want to give Ariel a lot of credit, man. He has some damn good, solid questions. He couldn't ask about the Vince McMahon allegations, obviously. I mean, legally, not the smartest thing to do. But also, I'm pretty sure Paul Levesque said that's the one thing, and everything else is open. That's the one thing we can't talk about. So there wasn't any of those Vince questions, but he did talk about gaining control from Vince, the relationship with Vince, what Vince is involved with today. We don't know what is truth and what isn't with Paul Levesque sometimes. I mean, he does stretch the truth. He will straight out lie. And he will talk in circles. But a lot of this interview did seem like it was genuine. So we're going to decipher all of that, man. That's going to be the bulk of this video. I hope I don't keep you guys here too long. All right? I know I kept you here over 2 hours yesterday when I didn't promise. I said 1 hour. It turned into 2 hours. Such is life when BC is talking pro wrestling. But that's going to be the bulk coming up. I want to give a couple of just some side notes first. I want to give a couple of PSA announcements, I guess you're right. A public service announcement to my amplified unit. Number one has nothing to do with pro wrestling, but anybody going out to the Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights opening night tonight, salute to you guys, man. And anybody that's going to be going over the next, 7-8 weeks, all the way up until October 31st down in Orlando, Halloween Horror Nights. That's BC's jam. I wish I could be there opening night, but that's just not the case. I have a lot of work to do and a little bit of traveling up here until my October trip, which I usually take half business and half a couple of BC days. So anybody doing horror nights this year, man, have a blast. Opening night is tonight. Salute. And by the way, speaking of traveling, we got some to do tonight, many hours. We're doing this black. We're doing this just a black straight up coffee, guys. There's no creamer. There's none of that shit. This is just a straight up black coffee. We're going to rock the fuck out. And in case you're wondering, right, this brings me to my next PSA, all right? That's horror nights. That has nothing to do with wrestling. Smackdown tonight. You're wondering, well, BC, you got traveling to do. Are you even going to be able to watch Smackdown? Are we going to get a review at some point? Answer is no. Guys, I already gave you the spoiler review last week. Tonight is taped, guys. Tonight was taped after last Friday night. So the spoilers have been online. Most of us already know the results. It's not an over-the-top a show that you would have to watch, right? You can literally look at this show on paper, and you can move on and watch something else tonight or go out play in traffic. Who knows, man? Plan your next vacation to horror nights. I don't know. You could do anything in the world, but watching this show tonight is not a priority based on what BC has seen. But I went over the entire show. All you guys have to do is go to last week's SmackDown review. At the end of that review, I go over the spoilers for this week, and I give my thoughts on every segment that was posted. So if you guys want my thoughts on tonight's show, it's already up on the channel. It's on last week's SmackDown review. Hopefully that clears that up. The next time I will be with you guys will hopefully be tomorrow afternoon, live during Clash at the Castle. I hope. The current plan, anyway, is to be live for that entire event, whether it's 3 hours or 4 hours or 17 hours. The plan is to be live with you guys. So one way or the other, you will be getting a good, the bad, and the ugly review, either live or right after. I mean, it's going to be, I'm really trying to block that time out. So be on the lookout, man. You should be subbed and notified anyway. Wherever that fucking bell is down below, make sure the bell is on, and that'll hopefully notify you. Still to this day, people tell me they have the notification bell, and sometimes it just doesn't alert them of BC's videos. That's because the tube does not want to progress BC's channel. Fuck them. Whether they like it or not, we keep growing, motherfucker. So that's the plan for tomorrow, guys. SmackDown I already talked about last week. For tonight, it is taped because they're already doing the traveling over to Cardiff, Wales. They're already there. And then tomorrow I hope to be live. So that's what I got. Let me give my first swig of coffee, which, by the way, and this is also a thank you to everybody that tuned into yesterday's live stream for making that so damn special. One of the best live streams I've ever fucking cut. I wasn't just feeling it. I was in that groove, man. And I was just speaking from the old heart. And I was straight up venting. And you guys allowed it. And even cooler, you understood where I was coming from. Salute to all you guys, man. Wow. Straight up dark roast Dunkin' espresso. Straight up black. Nothing added to it, baby. That'll wake the senses up. This is coffee number 7 for the day as well. By the time you guys see this video, it'll be probably this evening, East Coast time anyway. It'll probably be 5, 6 p.m.-ish. And again, you probably find this more entertaining than SmackDown. I don't know, man. We hope they put together a good show tomorrow for Clash because BC hopes to be live with you guys. But yesterday's live stream, man, somehow it turned into a vent session where BC was just really voicing his frustrations with the matches that AEW is putting out. And I told you guys how it's just getting me nauseous. It's kind of like Monday Night Raw when for years they were just doing rematch after rematch after rematch. And I finally had enough. And I told you guys, I said, it's making me nauseous now. Like these matches are making BC nauseous. I've been saying, I don't need to see Corbin and McIntyre for the 96th time. I don't need to see the New Day and the Usos for the 145th time. I I literally just started hitting this point where I'm like, how many times can we see the same exact matches over and over and over and over? Nikki versus Doudrop versus Nikki versus Doudrop, then it's Nikki versus Doudrop, then it's Nick, and then you put them in a tag team and they'll do the same fucking match time after. I mean, the formula, the redundancy was next level to the point where you wanted to put your dome piece through a brick wall. And over in AEW, I hit this point where it's the exact opposite, but just as nauseating. They just have all of these high-flying aerial gymnastic matches. I call them trampoline matches. One after the other lately with no care, no intrigue put into it. Other than wrestler A, who does cool moves, is going to take on wrestler B, who does cool moves. And even worse, it turns into even a bigger, a larger circus, because then you have wrestler A and B versus wrestler C and D, and they all perform cool moves. And then it gets even worse. 6-man tags, trios tournament, trios division, where all 6 dudes are high flyers. And they're just ping pong balls flying all around the fucking ring. The do-hickey-do-hoo Mickey dive. The fucking flying ultra press shooting star 630 957. Oh wow splash. And whatever else they're calling these moves. And it just becomes exhausting. I literally, the match before the main event on Dynamite was like enough. That was enough to be like, wow, thank goodness that's over. That was way too much. There was no selling. There was nobody fucking giving a damn about in-ring psychology. Nobody wanted to slow down the pace so that they, the wrestlers, fuck the fans, they can catch their breath and remember that you're wrestlers, not gymnasts. But nobody wanted to do that. And then it led right into the main event, the 6-man tag. And it was just even more. It wasn't even a tag match, even though it was a 6-man tag, where you legally have to tag the man in. The whole match, all 6 dudes are wrestling. Once in a while, you would see an actual tag get made. But for the most part, there's dives up on the stage. There's dives over the top rope into the aisleway. People are nearly going into the crowd. Maybe they did a time or two. Everybody is just flying. Nobody can sell properly because you have to get up to receive the next person's move. And it's gotten to a point where I don't know how people find this exciting. I can maybe see if you're in the arena and you know, in the arena, that's going to be more entertaining maybe than punch, kick, leg drop, body slam, clothesline, right? You're seeing people do these flips and dives, right? You're seeing the gymnasts go to work. So I can see live how I guess that would be more exciting. At home, I don't know how many of these matches you guys can fucking view before it's just the same thing as a rematch. Everybody can wrestle these. Everybody can 2022 wrestle these days, right? Which is basically glorified gymnastics. Everybody can do these flips and these dives and bounce off the ropes like it's just one big trampoline. It doesn't matter, right? You can insert wrestler A for wrestler B or wrestler P for wrestler Q, and it wouldn't matter. You could have Pac versus Penta. It's going to be the same fucking match as Omega versus Ospreay. You could insert a Wheeler Yuta and a maybe not Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta and a Dante Martin. I mean, all these guys can do your flips and your dives and your whoa moments. But what the fuck does it do long term, man? You're not going to remember any of these matches. You're not. Like, you go back, man. Let's just put it to Clash at the Castle 30 years ago when it was SummerSlam 92. British Bulldog and Bret Hart for the IC Championship. I mean, like, I remember exact sequences. I actually wanted to go back to watch that match 36 times, probably. I remember exact sequences. I remember the exact pinfall where they were. Bret's emotion afterwards. Diana coming into I remember all of it. WrestleMania 25. Michaels and Undertaker. I remember all of it. WrestleMania 12. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. I remember the sequences to a T. I've gone back and watched it a bunch of times too, so that helps. Hogan and The Rock at 18. Stone Cold and The Rock, several of their fucking matches. I went back and watched fucking many times, and I just remember exact sequences. Mania 10, Owen Hart, Bret Hart. I could keep going on and on. These are matches I'm going to remember, and they never had to put their fucking life on the line or rush their pace or fly and bounce around the ring like they're on a giant trampoline and fucking bouncing around like a ping pong ball. They didn't have to do that. They captivated you with in-ring psychology, with their selling, with actual professional wrestling. And by the end of the match, the payoff, they had the crowd in the palms of their hands getting that same reaction that they have to bust their ass 100 times the work rate for. They were doing it just throughout at their pace. You know, those are the matches I remember. I can't tell you all of these dudes with all these matches that are just so random to BC. And I know so many of you guys, because while I was venting yesterday in that live stream, you know, a lot of you guys were saying, BC, it's not just you, man. Like, wrestling is more than just this action. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. This can't be wrestling in 2022, man. Once in a while, okay, man, you want to see a fast-paced Omega versus Ospreay type of a match, no doubt. Okay, a Penta versus Pac, okay. Once in a while, right? And you just rock it out with a banger. But, man, to see, now it's becoming match after match after match. That last half an hour of Dynamite Wednesday gave me a fucking headache. I couldn't believe that the wrestling ring just became a trampoline and the wrestlers became gymnasts. Nobody sold a damn thing. A Canadian destroyer from the fucking ropes. It could be the middle rope, the top rope. You can add a fourth or a fifth rope. Canadian destroyers from the ropes, and people are kicking out at 2. And then a match later, people are winning off of 1 DDT for the ladies or some shit. You know, that's the type of garbage I'm seeing today. And you want me to realistically think that this person got beat by a DDT, but in the match before, they took a Canadian destroyer, probably twice, one of them from up on the ropes, and they just kicked out at fucking 2. They took 76 super kicks, and the guy kicked out at 1.5. Meanwhile, Shawn Michaels was beating people like Bret Hart and such with super kicks. Maybe not Bret Hart. Did he ever beat Bret with the super kick? Probably not. Sharpshooter at Survivor Series, which was the fuck finish. And then sudden death. WrestleMania 12. But the point is, the super kick used to be a move that would defeat you. You know, now the super kick can be performed 76 times. It wouldn't fucking matter. There's no selling. I mean, you could take 5 finishers from somebody and they'll just kick out these days, man. That should be used once in a blue moon if you're going to kick out of somebody's finisher. And now it's just used to help incorporate a sequence into what is hopefully going to be a banger. I don't know how many bangers you guys need to see. I've met my banger limit for the year. I don't need to see any more of these type of bangers. And I vented yesterday, and it was so cool that you guys allowed me to do such. It was going to happen anyway. It's my fucking channel, and that's what we were talking about. But the fact that you guys understood, even if you disagreed, right? I don't mind it, BC, right? You let BC vent, and you understood. You said, well, damn, BC, I can see where you're coming from. There isn't really a lot of story behind this shit. Even Ospreay and Omega. Forget what they did in Japan. You're in the States now. You're already taking on each other in this 6-man. The casual fan ain't gonna fucking know why the fuck to give a fuck about them in the ring together other than Wrestler A and Wrestler B. Ospreay and Omega, they have cool moves, and it's gonna be a fast-paced circus. That's what you're selling matches on these days. Vince McMahon, for the better part of 10 years, sold his matches on rematches. Tony Khan is selling them on just action matches. You're going to see a lot of action, a lot of nonstop action. TNA, total nonstop action. How about total nonstop stories? TNS. We need larger-than-life characters with stories that matter. I can't stress that enough. I don't know how many times I've said it, but I must sound like a broken record. Until you incorporate that, this is not the pro wrestling that I fell in love with. This is not pro wrestling. These are not pro wrestlers when they're in that state of mind. These are gymnasts performing gymnastics on one another. That's all it is. I know what professional wrestling is. I've watched it up close, live, for over 3 decades. I understand eras change, things change. But you can't take out the fundamentals of pro wrestling and still call it pro wrestling. If you're not going to sell, if you're not going to use in-ring psychology, if there's no storyline attached to it so that we can attach emotion to what we're watching, that's not considered pro wrestling, brah. Cool story, but you're a gymnast performing gymnastics on a trampoline. I can see that walking down any street on anybody's backyard on a trampoline, you can see these wrestling moves being performed. And maybe that's what this is. A lot of these wrestlers were just practicing on trampolines in their backyard, their favorite wrestlers' moves. And then when they got to training, they just started doing it more and more. And now here we are. Tony Khan doesn't need to feel like he's got to put storylines together because he could just put out fucking names and the crowd is going to bust a nut. What? Pac and Penta? Oh, damn banger. This is going to be goosebumps, man. It's already goosebumps, man. I can't wait till tonight's Dynamite. Pac is going to take on Penta? What? Dude, Omega and Ospreay. Goosebumps. Banger. Banger Central, bitch. Fuck Suplex City. Banger City, bitch. And while I'm actually a fan of Omega and I highly respect Ospreay, you know, I can't get excited to watch them do gymnastics on one another. So I vented yesterday, and I just did a little bit more right now, you know, but it's a huge thank you to you guys, man. You know, because you understand, when I vent, it's because I care about this business, and I want to see these companies succeed. And when I feel nauseous when I'm watching pro wrestling, man, it's like when I watch my Knicks, the past fucking 10 years especially. My New York Knicks, you start watching those games and you feel nauseous. You don't give up on them because you love your team, right? In this case, my New York Knicks. I love them. My Yankees have had a fucking horrible second half of the season. I feel nauseous during some of these Yankees games. I don't just give up on them. I love them. I'm going to keep watching them. I'm going to be there during their worst times so I can celebrate in our good times. Same thing with pro wrestling. I love pro wrestling. I'm not going to give up on it. But man, some of these matches, I'm starting to watch them in a nauseating state. And I just can't help but think, like, what is Jim Ross truly thinking with these matches? I feel so bad for that guy. Listen to the last half of Dynamite, last half an hour of Dynamite, man. And Jim Ross doesn't know what he's calling. I don't blame him. The guy can't even catch a fucking breath because the wrestlers won't allow anybody to do such, not even themselves. They won't fucking sell for a damn minute. It's not a tag match because the referee is in the corner twiddling his fucking thumbs, and that's only when they're not up his ass. He is not enforcing any fucking rules. The inmates are running the asylum. It's all 6 dudes being ping pong balls, bouncing around the fucking ring like they're in their backyard and they're 12 years old on a trampoline. Poor Jim Ross has to call this shit. Jim Ross knows this is garbage. You can hear it in his voice. You know, Triple H, which we're about to get to right now. Thanks for you guys letting me vent yet again on this. Triple H, we're going to get to all that he said in this latest interview where he opened up and told all. But I love when he told the story about Scott Hall. And he's like, you could be over backstage and in the locker room, you're overthinking everything. Kev's overthinking it, I'm overthinking it. And Scott Hall would come in and just be like, bro, everyone relax. Like, why are you doing this? Do this because that's more believable, is it not? And Triple H would be like, well, fuck, actually, yeah. Why the hell are we overthinking this? Scott Hall would always bring everybody back to an even keel level. And Triple H used a great analogy. Scott Hall was always one of those old school dudes that, like, it's like AC/DC. This is an exact analogy. This is like basically a quote. A slight paraphrase if I'm moving a word or two around. But Triple H said that it was like AC/DC or ZZ Top, where you would, you know, they'd use only 3 chords for the most part, but you would be singing those songs an entire lifetime. You would remember those fucking chords. You'd remember those songs. And then you'd have these other bands that would just be going wild, playing every chord imaginable, 2, 3, 4 chords at once. Chaos. And while it still might be great, Triple H says, you're not going to remember that for a lifetime. Those aren't going to be the ones where you're tapping your foot, tapping your fingers, singing along and jamming out to for a lifetime. And he's right. He's absolutely right. And in pro wrestling, it's a Scott Hall approach. Pro wrestling is like that. Tone it the fuck down, man. All of this wild shit will not be remembered by the majority. There's going to be the 1 or 2 fucking schmucks out there that are going to, basically, I'm going to remember it all, man. I love this. That's fine. Honestly, I'm not even going to take a shit on you, dude. I hope I'll respect that. Hopefully you can respect where BC and so many others are coming from. We need more in our pro wrestling than just glorified gymnastics, which is what this has become in AEW. WWE has been rematches for 10 years. We're starting to come out of that a little. That's good. In AEW, I hope they start attaching storylines, and I hope that they tell their talent, tone it the fuck down. Dustin backstage, Serena Deeb, Christopher Daniels, they all should be telling that talent, cut the shit, Tony. Cut the shit. Tone it down. Start selling. Start investing in your character. Start having that emotional investment with the crowd, with the fans at home. That's what we need. A lot of us wrestling fans, man. That's what we need. Scott Hall is exactly right. That's all. Sometimes the 3 chords is all we fucking need. Simplicity at its core is the fundamentals of pro wrestling, man. You don't got to overthink it, overanalyze it. You don't got to do too much. Anyway, that's another fucking vent on it, man. And that'll be a good segue into... So that was yesterday's stream, and I thank you guys, man. And that's a little bow tie on that, man. Put the little fucking bow on that. Put the ribbon on it. And that's the discussion on that. And for Triple H, let's start from the jump. I'm not going to go over everything. This was over an hour fucking interview. It was a long interview. But the highlights, man, I guess I'll begin with the AEW talk. That's the talk that's really getting most people talking. When asked about, was it a case? This is Ariel Helwani. This was his question. Was it a case? A lot of people were thinking that it was a case of you were put up against AEW and you failed, and now this was punishment by Vince. All of the firings and all that, and NXT being turned into 2.0. And Triple H debunked that. To his credit, exactly what BC has been saying from day one, man. Triple H said, no. It was never anything like that. So for anybody that thought this was just punishment by Vince and he was just in it to destroy his son-in-law, not only is that not true, but also he says he was in, and I already told you guys this because I actually gave you guys personalized stories from people that were in the original meetings that said Triple H was there. Triple H admitted in this interview that he knew from the jump about the change-up. This was before his heart issues. They had been talking about it. They have been in the loop, and they had those initial meetings. And this is not news to BC or my AMP unit because I gave you guys actual individuals from the NXT production crew that backed up that. And this was many, many, many months ago that we discussed that. So the notion that Vince was just out to get his son-in-law, complete bullshit. I mean, that's pretty... I would hope that's pretty clear by now, pretty obvious. And if it wasn't, Triple H just said that. Now, how much can you take as truth or not? That's in the eye of the beholder. Because he went on to say, okay, AEW beat our developmental. Good job. And he smirked, right? He laughed a little, like he passed it off, like it was no big accomplishment. He literally said the words, okay, they beat our developmental. So what? Congratulations. And he laughed a little bit. Now, this led a lot of people to think, well, hold on, man. You always looked at it, though, when you started picking up that steam and it became a beast of its own. You always looked at it like another brand. Right up there with Raw and SmackDown, you had NXT Black and Gold. Now, all of a sudden, it's full throttle developmental. Now, that's the chatter going on, guys. I don't know, because I've always gauged this. Having this channel, creating content on this channel for over 5 years, I've always got a different sense from a lot of you guys. It's a very mixed opinion. A lot of you guys felt it was developmental. A lot of you guys felt it was a third brand. A lot of you guys felt it was a mixture of the both. It's developmental, but it turned into a brand. So you have to look at it as both. But Triple H, I don't know if he truly felt this way before he got beat by Tony Khan, but he told Ariel Helwani, okay, congratulations, you beat our developmental. Okay. And he laughed it off. So that shows you that H is not done with Khan, and that's why Tony Khan, when asked about a forbidden door with WWE, this was just yesterday during the media call, and Tony Khan said, well, what, paraphrasing a little, but he said basically when Vince McMahon was in charge, there was a chance, actually. I had high hopes. He goes, now? Not so much. It's highly unlikely now that there's going to be a relationship with WWE. So he's saying it was better with Vince that there could be a relationship. And now with H, he's like, no. And he literally said, Tony Khan said, based on the way they've been treating me recently, there's no way. And he's talking, of course, about the tampering, supposedly. Triple H is having people call and trying to get his talent. I told you guys in yesterday's video, I'm hearing that a lot of people in WWE are making fun of Tony Khan, and this is obviously getting back to Tony. So, some high school shit, basically, middle school shit. So it seems like, in H, during this interview, he's like, everyone thought that there was this war, and it really was nothing like that. And I'm like, bro, if it wasn't, it is now. H has a vendetta. H is out to eliminate Khan, man. The way that he answered this with the developmental line and then the smirk and the laughing after, like just passing off AEW and their accomplishment. I mean, this is a brand new company that beat NXT. This was a third brand or development, however you want to describe it, that was backed by a machine, a monster that was WWE. And AEW not only held their own, but they beat Triple H. I mean, that's a pretty good accomplishment. For Triple H just to pass it off like nothing, I don't know, bro. I think he knows deep down that he's got a lot of unsolved issues that he needs to fucking burn out for Tony Khan. He's going to be out for Tony. And it starts this Sunday when he puts his NXT Worlds Collide brand up against All Out. It's going to be right before at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And then their replay, which garners 31% more in sales during a daytime pay-per-view, which will be NXT this Sunday. So if you do the math, that's 31%. Even if AEW can collect 17 of that, you're still out 14% that could have watched AEW are going to be tuning into the replay alone, which would be going head-to-head with AEW. I hope you guys are keeping track. That's a lot of numbers. Just trust me. I cracked the code. I cracked the numbers, and no matter what, NXT is greatly hurting AEW. We'll just have to find out by how much when AEW's numbers come out. It's not going to beat AEW in numbers, but it was sent there, obviously, to smack, to punch AEW All Out right in the mug. So we have to see how much damage it does. But Triple H, you can tell by that answer, there's a lot of unresolved issues there, and he wants to get that back. And the apple does not fall far from the tree. I know Triple H has a lot more respect than Vince McMahon. That's great. That's fine. But don't think for 1 second he did not learn every day, every hour, every minute from the old bastard in Stanford. Triple H is a lot like Vince. And pretty fucking ruthless. And by any means necessary, when he gets the chance, he's putting Tony out of business. Unless Tony Khan gets his ducks in a row, his shit in gear, and he can go to the next level. Triple H is going to be looking to sideline that organization, just like Vince did for so many years with others. Triple H, telling you, man, you don't want to believe it, I understand. I wouldn't want to believe it either if I didn't study these dudes vividly for years and years. But Triple H is a lot like Vince in that era, in that aspect. So that's the AEW talk, man. Totally passing that off and calling it developmental, so it's basically no big deal. I don't know so much about that, man. And I know a lot of you guys have a little bit of an issue with that. He was also asked about Vince McMahon and the involvement and just taking over and how wild it is. And he said, I mean, it's surreal is the word that he used. And he did say that, no, Vince is totally out of it. I mean, it's me. And I gotta be honest. I mean, I did feel, even though that H can stretch the truth, trust me, I've studied this guy vividly for years. He can not just stretch the truth, he can straight out lie to your face. I mean, that's what H has done, Paul Levesque, for years, bro. I mean, when I say ruthless, I mean ruthless. But I got a different sense that there was a realism in his voice and in his words. And I always told you guys, there's no doubt he's in control now. But how many keys to the kingdom did Vince McMahon give him? Right? It's like a janitor. You ever see a janitor's key set? He's got like 100 keys, right? A key to every classroom, the fucking back room, the cafeteria, the gym, the fucking attic, the basement. Who the hell knows? He's got a key for everything. So you can hear a janitor walking down the hall a mile away because his keys are dangling. How many of those keys did Vince give Triple H? And I always said, the last several weeks especially, maybe it feels like he gave Triple H all of the keys except for the master key. Based on what H is saying, and I do believe a lot about this, it feels like McMahon actually gave him the master key as well, but maybe the duplicate, right? Like, it's not the only master key. It's a duplicate. He went to the Home Depot, he fucking copied that shit, and now H has one as well. Because in his credit, to his credit, I should say, H admitted, and I'm so thankful he did this, because it shouldn't be podcasters like BC saying this, and then everybody wondering if BC is right or not. Triple H, just come out and say the truth, man. And he did. He looked right at Ariel Helwani, and he said, let's be honest. This is basically a quote. Let's be honest. He's my father-in-law. If I ever have a question I just can't come to a conclusion, or something needs to be discussed, of course, I'm going to him. And he knows damn well it's vice versa, by the way. And McMahon, because Stephanie said he's more in tune with the business now than ever before. That's what Stephanie told the shareholders, so they wouldn't panic. Vince McMahon he's got both eyes on the product more vividly now than ever before. Those were Stephanie's words just 3 weeks ago. And H is saying, now let's be honest, it's my father-in-law. Of course I'm going to go to him and we're going to talk shop. I love that he did that because we all know that, bro. We know that you're talking about pro wrestling. We're not stupid. I made the joke yesterday. They're not getting together to talk about the Boy Meets World marathon. You know, they're not getting together and fucking talking about how many seashells that Vince and Linda collected at the fucking Jersey Shore the other week or the other day. They're not getting together and playing thumb wars. They're talking about the business. That's all Vince knows. Triple H, that's all he's been encompassed in the last fucking month especially. So for him to say, let's be honest, it's my father-in-law. Obviously, I'm going to him on certain things. Thank you. BC knew that. I told my audience that. And if you think that's not a two-way street, nah, brah. If you think Vince doesn't see something that's going not in his fucking, not the way that he knows the business should be, and again, this is in his mindset, he's fucking picking up the phone, bro. So it's cool that he just admitted that, because you're fooling nobody. Nobody that's sensible is thinking that you and Vince are not talking about business and that you're not getting any advice on what to do from Vince. But that aside, it sounds like he does have the master key, guys. And that this is, for the most part, Triple H's ship. Again, I have to say this, you might not want to hear it. For how long, we don't know. At any time, Vince can come back when he chooses to. This is all Vince knows. He lives and breathes it. Once the investigation is already over. Once the dust settles and the smoke clears, 6 months from now, 9 months, a year from now, 2 years from now, if Vince is feeling that itch, Vince can come right back. He just retired, guys. Nothing is preventing him from coming back. Nothing. He's the majority shareholder, has all the fucking voting shares, or the majority. His people were put in place. At any moment, he can come back. And that's the scary part, right? If Triple H gets the ship back going in the right direction, which it already is, and then all of a sudden Vince is like, I'm coming back. Who could stop him? A lot of you guys like to say, BC, that's never going to happen. Don't worry, man. You don't know that. You literally don't know that. Just like I don't know if or when he'll show back up. He's listed still as a fucking performer. Mr. McMahon, go on the WWE.com roster page. You'll see his fucking face. At any moment, he could come up as a character. He played the game beautifully during the investigation before being forced out, and then he's in a world of shit and he can't come back. He retired. And he put all his peeps in it. So that's what I mean. You know, whether it's a smoke show, all smoke and mirrors right now, at least Triple H is making the product better, slowly but surely. And it sounds like he's got that master key, not just a bunch of the keys on the janitor's fucking keychain. So that was welcoming to hear. But of course, him and Vince are still talking shop, as he said. So take that for how you will, man. If you thought Vince McMahon was just not talking wrestling with H and what to do, not the case. H admitted he goes to him at times when he's in a pickle even. So I appreciate the honesty. He talked about Sasha Banks. When asked about Sasha Banks' return, Triple H said it's just about what does she want? It's all about finding that connection of what you need from her and what she wants to do. And he literally said, this was interesting. He said, Sasha Banks, the passion for this business is second to none, but now she has other passions as well. So it's all about finding that middle ground, basically. That was interesting because it sounds like Sasha does want to do so much other things, and it maybe Vince just was not allowing it. And now H's big problem is finding a middle ground. Okay, we need this from you, and we can allow you to do X, Y, and Z, but we can't allow you to do A, B, and C. But it was interesting to hear H talk about Sasha and talk about how she's one of the best talents he's ever seen. And he will always think that and always have her back, and that was really awesome. But to hear him say that they just can't find or haven't yet found that connection to that middle ground of what they need from her and what she wants out of this wrestling thing anymore. Like, what does she truly want? That's what he said about Sasha Banks. That was so interesting. Because the way that it was sounding for a while now is that she was ready to get back in the ring. She's still a part of WWE, guys. I mean, she's also still on the roster page. The letters WWE after her name and Naomi. She's still a part of it. But they haven't been able to find a way to bring her back onto TV and get her back in the shit. And those words by H, it just seems like it's not as far along as maybe we thought. Then again, maybe she's on Monday Night Raw Monday. Who the fuck knows? Bray Wyatt was asked, man. What about Bray Wyatt coming back? And this was so interesting. You know, this was big for BC because you guys know my favorite wrestlers, man. If you take away Jay Lethal and tag teams like the Usos and the Briscoes, you know, two of my favorite wrestlers in the world. I just think the world of them is Sasha Banks and Bray Wyatt. Wyndham Rotunda. And he was asked about Bray, and H was so candid, man. He was like, I mean this in the best way possible, he said. He said he is crazy creative. Or crazy in his creative. But he said he's got all of these just crazy, wild, creative ideas. And it's all about harnessing it. Those were his exact words. How do you harness Bray Wyatt? And he goes, it's hard. He goes, it's so tough because he'll have all of these things that he wants to do. You say okay to him. And then he says, no, scrap that. I have these new ideas. And H is like, and then it's like starting from zero, and he's got all of these ideas. And it's like, dude, you got to just zero in on it. It's so hard to harness Bray Wyatt and his creativity. And he said that several times. One of the most creative dudes. It's just about harnessing him. And he alluded that he is difficult to work with, actually. And this is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. This is what H alluded to. if you listen to you'll know what I mean by alluded to it. I don't think he came right out and goes, he's difficult, but he put him in this like category of like some people, and it was a question about Bray, they're just harder to work with. And I think it's just because of the harnessing aspect. I guess that's a good problem to have, right? He's uber creative, and that's what Vince never liked. But Vince and Bray got along too. There was a father and son relationship. I think Matt Hardy said that. And there was just times where Vince McMahon fucking got upset with him like a fucking son. And like a son would get pissed at a father, Bray would get pissed at Vince. But I guess he had so much creative ideas that it was just hard for those that he worked with to really like come to common ground a lot. But I love what Triple H said. He goes, some people, and this is still on the question of Bray, he goes, well, a lot of people will say, yeah, he's got talent, but he's an asshole. And Triple H goes, yeah, but he's my asshole. Because he set up that fucking kind of analogy. He's basically like when people say, yeah, but this guy's an asshole, Triple H was like, yeah, but he's my asshole. And that's how I grew up. A lot of people that I know, yeah, they can be considered dicks, assholes, jerks, pricks, But those are my fucking pricks, man. Those are my fucking assholes. Those are my jerks. I vouch for them, I was an asshole in a lot of aspects growing up, but other people always fucking vouched for me and took me under their wing and, So I love how Triple H said that. Like, yeah, so they're and he literally said too, man, I have no fucking notepad in front of me. I'm not looking at anything on the fucking computer. In fact, it's off right now. Literally, it's a black screen. Guys, I'm just remembering everything from this off the top of my fucking dome piece. And I just watched this a few hours ago and I'm trying to remember all this. But he also said, the difficult working with them and being an asshole and all of that, he goes, that gets me kind of excited. It's like, let's go. Like, how can we find that common ground? How can we harness it? How can we find that? Because sometimes things are too cookie cutter. You don't want necessarily the same damn thing. You got to have some originality. And he's so right. You think about some of the top stars in the wrestling business in WWE over the years. A lot of them could be called assholes, dicks, pricks, jerks, business for themselves, right? The Hulk Hogan's Warrior, Ultimate Warrior, SummerSlam 91, literally before he went out in that tag match, he held Vince up for some money. He said, I'm not going out there until you give me more money. Warrior pulled some crazy shit. CM Punk, not easy to work with. Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And when he didn't want to do a job, he told you about it. He didn't want to do the Lesnar job. He took his ball. He went home. To this day, Stone Cold says that bothers him. He lost a lot of money, he said, that he wish he got. And he knew that the business got hurt too. But my point is, Vince still went back and did business with all of them because he knew they were the best wrestlers, man. Those were the personalities, the ones that are harder to work with, the ones that are uber creative, the ones that are stubborn and not just going to be force-fed bullshit booking. Those are the ones that became the biggest and best and brightest superstars of all time. Don't think Undertaker wasn't hard to work with a lot and would not veto shit. He would. So he's so right. So, the Bray Wyatt, man, I thought the Sasha Banks talk was something. The Bray Wyatt talk was next level as well. He was asked about Braun Strowman. He gave a little bit of a smirk. He said, we'll see about that. That pretty much confirms he's coming probably next week, probably Monday Night Raw right after Clash at the Castle. So Strowman is coming. And we'll see what he does, man. Triple H expanded on why. He said, if I can give him another... I've always liked Braun Strowman. When people were in my ear saying, he's too many mileage on him, too much BS he's carrying around. Triple H said, he's perfect for us. And he said, if I can give him one more chance to make it big, I would definitely do that. That's what H said. And clearly, he's got the chance. That's been the word. They're already in talks. I think it's clear what we talked about yesterday is indeed coming true. Braun Strowman. And when you get Strowman, who's in real life, good friends with Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt, once they get Braun, does this open the door even more for Bray Wyatt's eventual return to WWE, which I feel is inevitable. So that was the Braun Strowman talk. And then he talked about The Rock. Ariel Helwani talked about The Rock. And I'm telling you guys, man, Triple H literally just, he cut a promo, basically. That's how Ariel put it, and it really was. He talked about, I know for a fact The Rock wants to get in there one more time. He's like, we text back and forth, and he told me there's no feeling in the world like getting the goosebumps from being in the middle of the ring. He said there's nothing. There's no movie set that can give me that feeling. And Triple H it's just about the now, right? The clock is ticking. And he goes, the time is now. This is what Triple H said, the time is now. And he said, what better stage? WrestleMania 39, LA. Ariel Helwani goes, his cousin, right? Trying to like push him a little more to tell us some more, right? Like, would it be his cousin? And he goes, his cousin. And Triple H goes, his cousin, right? The tribal chief. That's exactly what Triple H said. And then he said, or whoever he wants. But Ariel Helwani got him to say the tribal chief, which is that's the match, bro. It's sitting in their fucking lap. And The Rock just has to now create the time. And it's right around the launch of the XFL. What better base to get people to watch another football league than pro wrestling fans? And hopefully they learn from their mistakes the first time XFL came around. That was just a botch. And they can get people watching. But if you're trying to get people to go to your football league, the XFL, which The Rock owns, you're not going to do that through movies, bro. He's already one of the biggest movie stars of all time. We've seen enough Rock movies. Another Rock movie is not going to make us watch XFL. But when you're in an athletic battle, when you're in the ring, when you're in storylines, when you're getting that fucking mainly male demo, especially 18 to 49, yeah, it's sitting in their lap. And Triple H talking about it, it was just like, all right, now it has to happen, bro. There's no more if. Ariel Helwani's like, dude, you're giving me goosebumps just like listening to you cut that promo. How the fuck do we not get that now? So, I just don't see how The Rock does not show up for around Royal Rumble time. And I don't know what that does for Cody. Because the way that Ariel ended this whole thing and talking about like fucking Drew McIntyre, getting one more chance to have what was ruined a few years ago because of the pandemic, and now to get another opportunity to win that championship and have it even more meaningful. And he's saying this right in front of H. It's almost like, how does Drew walk out of there without the title now? Not Roman, not Theory. But on the flip side, this whole 2-year title reign for Roman was to lose it to Drew? Mad respect to Drew. But you can't tell me that his last year of booking led us to this moment if it wasn't for the UK or Clash at the Castle. Drew would not be winning the championship, which is leaving a bad taste in some people's mouths. They're saying, shouldn't it be Cody Rhodes when he comes back to be the one to dethrone Roman? That's in the eye of the beholder. You guys decide. I made my decision. I would have went Cody Rhodes. But then you got to think of a creative way as to why the fuck Drew is not walking out tomorrow night with that fucking title. Those titles. I don't know, man. I don't know how you do this and Roman's whole title reign ends tomorrow night to Drew and make it make sense. But hopefully they find a way to do such. Now I'm going to turn the computer on, man. Put the fucking light back on and make sure that I got everything that I wanted to talk about on this Friday evening by the time you guys catch this. You know what? There's a couple of stories, but I don't want this to go over an hour, man. I already went over 2 hours yesterday, and we got maybe 4 hours tomorrow if we go live for the entire Clash event. So make sure you join the channel, even if you only stop by to say what's up and smash the up. Say what's up, BC. I would love to see you guys in the chat at some point tomorrow just to say what's up and smash the up and let BC say what up. You know what I mean? That's always cool. Even if you can't stay the whole 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it's going to be. Because we should be partying tomorrow. And again, for SmackDown, I already went over that. It's taped from last week. So we already went over the spoilers in last week's SmackDown. You can see my thoughts on that, hear my thoughts on them as well. in that video. Go check that out. Check out yesterday's live stream where I vented and vented and then vented some more. You guys allowed me to do such and understood where I was coming from. Thank you. I'm done with the gymnastics. I want my pro wrestling back, man. That includes WWE and AEW. Get your act together and give me back pro wrestling. Larger than life characters, storylines that captivate our attention. Not just one or two here and there. The bulk of the show should be captivating our interest. I don't need rematches. I don't need just action. I'm not a fucking hamster who needs to fucking spin on a wheel. I'm not a fucking, I'm not a dog that's chasing down a fucking frisbee or a ball. I'm a wrestling fan that wants to watch wrestling. I don't need, my attention span isn't that of a 2022-ite. My attention span will allow everyone to slow it down and give us back pro wrestling matches, man. Sell. A DDT should take somebody out for a while. Pick them up after a few seconds. Slap them around some more. A Canadian destroyer should put somebody down for a 40 count. These days, you're kicking out at 1. I can go on and on. I'm going to end it there. Sasha, you know what we got to do, right? What you got to do. This is on you, Sasha. You gotta tell her, unit. Tell her. You gotta hit my motherfucking music. I amp unit, top guy, and I'm out. Check you, man. All right, now I'm gonna down this. I've been nursing this, man. When it's the dark roast, straight up black, I like to down it all at once, man. Now it's time to fucking rock it.